Okay, in this tutorial we're going to look at this example question. Let's start that again. In this tutorial we're going to look at the example question to do with declarative programming languages, and remember that Prolog is one of the best examples of a declarative programming language. So, a recruitment agency selects applicants based upon how well their experience matches the needs of an employer, and the agency currently holds information about applicants in a database. Employees make requests to the agency in the form below, seeking a person with more than 5 years experience in high-level language programming with particular experience in Pascal. So, what you'll notice here in red is that the clauses 1 to 16 have been listed, and those are facts. Okay? So, let's just make a note of that. These are facts. And then over here in purple, they're a little bit different because they've got a little bit of logic involved in them. They're selection-based statements. If and make these clauses rules. So 17 and 18 are rules. Now the question says, A part 1, find a solution for high-level language programmer, and then brackets Pascal Y. So how would I solve that? So we've got high-level language programmer and normally that would be in the form of X, Y. Okay? High-level language programmer X, Y, because that is clause 17. Remember to list all the clauses that you use, and that was rule 17. But I know that because of the question that's being asked, the variable X equals Pascal. So I can substitute that in. Now, let's look at the rule. The rule says, in rule 17, can program in X, Y. Alright? But I know what X is, because I've just said X is Pascal. So let's take that out and change it. And go program in Pascal, Y. Now if we look down the clauses and the facts, we'll find that can program in Pascal is this one here. Look at that. That's clause number 14. Just underline it. Okay? So I'm going to write clause 14 over here, because that's one of the clauses I've used. And I'm going to say that the answer that will be returned is Y equals Cynthia. Okay? So, what else is there in that rule? Well, okay, over here, alright, I've done that, but now I've got to look at this bit. Is a high-level language X? Alright? So, is a high-level language X? I'm looking at, in this case, clause number 5. Clause number 5 says, is a high-level language Pascal. So in other words, this is going to be true. So if that's true, and based on clause 14 we found that the variable Y is indeed the name Cynthia, then the solution to the problem that the Prolog program is going to find is Y equals Cynthia. And that's it. Okay? Now moving on to part 2, A part 2, suitable for the job, Derek. So, suitable for the job, So I'm going to write suitable for job, and I've got X, comma Derek. So what we're asking here, the declarative programming languages, is what jobs is Derek suitable for? What values of X can we find? So let's look at the rule, which is Rule 18. Rule 18 says suitable for job, X, comma Y. And I know what Y is, because Y, yeah, is Derek. So I'm going to put Y equals Derek here, like that. Now, that rule then asks us to look at high-level language programmer X, comma Y. Alright, so let's look at that. High-level language programmer X, comma Y. Alright, now I know what Y is, don't I? So I'm going to just change it. It's X, comma Derek. That wasn't written very well. But what are the values for X that it's going to find? High-level language programmer means I've got to go to clause number 17, Rule 17. Right? And Rule 17 says, can program in, let's have a look at that, X, comma Y. Well, that's X, comma Derek. Let's spell Derek a bit better this time. There we go. So what can Derek program in? Well, can program in with Derek, if we look here, look. So let's look at this one, and this one. That's clauses 11, 12, and 13. So clauses 11, 12, and 13 says that the value of X is going to equal either assembler, yeah, that one, assembler, COML, or Prolog. Alright? So let's put them in. Assembler, Prolog, or COML. So what's the next part of the rule that we've got to look at? We've got the can program in. Which of those is a high-level language? Well, if we look at clauses 6 and 7, yeah, then we know if X is equal to Pascal, then that's fine, because it's a high-level language. If we look at X equaling COML, that's fine, because it's a high-level language. And if we look at X equals Prolog, that's fine, because it's a high-level language. But the moment X equals assembler, there isn't a rule that says that. Okay? There's no is a high-level language assembler. So that's not fine. So we can't do that. And not only that, I looked at a programming language there that I didn't need to. Pascal. I'm going to get rid of it. Because it's not one of the values that was returned here. Okay? So, what have I found? So far I've found that Derek can program in Prolog or COML. Alright? Now finally, I've got to look at the years of programming, Y, Z. Alright? So let's write that down. Years of programming is, for Derek, clause number 3. So, years of programming. That's let's get that right. That's Y, Z. Now, years of programming. I know what Y is because it's Derek. So that's Derek, comma Z. And what Z's going to have a value of? Well, let's have a look. That's clause number 3, Derek, years of programming, 16. So Z is going to be 16. And then finally, we've got this check here, look. Is Z greater than 5? Well, 16 is greater than 5. So let's write that down. 16 is greater than 5. That is true. So the answer to the question is yes. Derek is suitable for the job as long as the programming languages are Prolog or COML. Alright, just underline those. So the solutions is that one or that one. And they're the two that fit the bill. And that ends the question. Just make sure with Prolog questions that you do show you're working out and you do write down the clause numbers that you use to solve a problem. That's very important. And then you're showing the examiner how you've arrived at your solution. So, best of luck with this topic. Once you get used to it, it's not too bad.